Guys, I'm riled up, so I had to come on here and do a video. I am so tired of hearing preachers preach. Nobody's going to be perfect in this life. We're gonna mess up. We're gonna make mistakes. We can't be perfect. This is absolute nonsense. This is so discouraging to the faith. All this does absolutely no good for anybody. There's no good reason to preach this at all, ever. This only does evil. It's not going to do anybody any good. Now, let me prove to you why this is, okay? Take airline pilots, for example. Let's say you have a group of airline pilots. They're in charge of hundreds of people every day, and it's a big weight. It's a big responsibility they have. And nobody would disagree with that, right? Imagine if you come up, let's say you're in charge of this group of pilots, and every week you give them a sort of a pep talk, what you think is a pep talk, and you're telling them week after week after week, time and time again, that, oh, don't worry, nobody's going to be perfect. Hey, we're all going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. No big deal, and you kind of just brush it off like, hey, it's okay. So you tell your fellow pilots, hey man, listen, we all make mistakes. It's okay if you forget to, put the wheels down when you're landing. Hey, we're all human. No big deal. Everybody makes mistakes. Now tell me, this messaging you're giving your pilots day in, day out, what good does this do? Please tell me, what good is this doing for them? Does it ever make any logical sense to tell this to them week after week? Or would this be at their detriment? Would this do more damage than good? And the Bible tells us to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. We're told to walk sober and righteous in this present age. So much like a pilot, there's a weight of people's souls on us. There's a responsibility. So if you would never go around telling pilots, oh, don't worry, hey, we all make mistakes. Hey, no big deal. Hey, we're going to slip up. We're human. Then why would you tell fellow Christians that? Why? I mean, listen, there's going to be young Christians that are going to make mistakes, and they have to grow in knowledge and this sort of thing. Just like a pilot, if he was in training, he's going to make mistakes, but it doesn't do any good to constantly tell pilots hey, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Why? Because there's a certain soberness, a responsibility, a weight on their shoulders to get it right. Do you understand? If you know, it's one thing if you just don't know, but it's another thing if you're a pilot, you've been trained in something, you know better. You've been told, hey, you must put the wheels down before you land each and every time. You cannot forget this. There is no room for error at all. You have to do this. And then you come in behind them and tell them, well, hey, nobody's perfect. Hey, things happen, mistakes happen. We're only human after all. This is of the devil, y'all. This is wicked. And I'm so tired of hearing preachers preach this over and over. Tell me why you feel the need to tell people this time and time again, when there's the weight of souls that may lie under their responsibility. And you're just going to tell them, hey, hey, we can't be perfect in this life. We all make mistakes. This is nonsense. I was in the military, and I don't recall, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I don't ever recall that I can remember a drill sergeant telling us that, giving us that message. Hey, guys, hey, you're not going to be perfect. Don't worry about it. And listen, I was a medic in the Army. So there was a very real possibility if I messed up, somebody would die. And that's the way it is it doesn't matter if you're a medic, it doesn't matter what you are. If you're a member of the armed forces, there's a very real possibility you make a mistake. And I do remember my drill sergeant saying that a lot, quite frequently, saying, listen, if you make a mistake, somebody's going to die. They would straight up tell us, somebody's going to die. Now, are all these false teachers out there preaching that? Are they teaching, hey, listen, if you make a mistake, if you preach, the wrong thing or something like that, somebody's soul could potentially die? No, they're not preaching that. They're preaching, oh, hey, don't worry, hey, we're all going to make mistakes. We're not going to be perfect. Like I said, I don't recall my drill sergeants ever giving that message. Oh, hey, don't worry, you're going to make mistakes. No, it was the opposite. Why? Because they wanted us to be sober. They wanted us to be vigilant. And that's what the Bible says the devil roams around like a lion seeking whom he may devour. We're in a real battle, y'all. We're in a real battle against principalities in the spiritual realm. Don't you see that? It's the same thing. So if drill sergeants in the Army won't tell you, hey, nobody's going to be perfect and all this, then why in the Lord's army are you going to be preaching that message? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's from the devil. Because again, there's no good reason to preach that nobody's going to be perfect in this life. There's just no good reason. No, if you're training soldiers, you're going to say, listen, you need to be perfect. You need to execute this mission flawlessly. Why? I'll tell you why. Because if you don't, somebody's going to die. That's why. Do you understand? Do you understand what's at stake? These people, they're just walking around, just almost like life's just a joke. Almost like souls aren't perishing. Almost like we don't actually have a real enemy that's seeking to devour us. Guys, what's wrong with y'all? Seriously, what's wrong with you guys? Preaching, oh, hey, nobody's gonna be perfect and all this. Why? Please tell me why. What sense does it make? If you wouldn't do it in these high stakes professions, such as an airline pilot or the military, the Navy SEALs, whatever it may be, then why? I mean, could you just imagine? Just imagine like SEAL Team 6 or something, before they go in for a mission, you gather them together, you have a really important message, and you say, guys, listen, huddle around me. I got a really important message. Listen, okay, come on, gather around, come on. Okay, guys, I just want you to know, do your best, but guess what? Nobody's perfect. So, if you make a mistake, hey, guess what? We're all human. No big deal, and would this help at all? I mean, would this help soldiers do? And listen, I'm not promoting the military or anything like that. Don't twist my words. But guys, we're in a real spiritual battle, and the Bible uses these terms such as soldier, such as weapons of warfare. We're very much in an army. So if you can't even conceive of an army doing that, then why would you do it time and time and time again? You hear some preachers just do it over and over and over again. It's senseless. It's not helping the cause. There's no conceivable scenario where before soldiers go into a mission, you're going to get them to huddle around you and try to tell them, hey, don't worry, guys, nobody's perfect. And a lot of them, they won't even explain. They won't even go into detail. Say, hey, nobody's perfect. We all mess up. What good is that going to do? What good is that going to do for a pilot who's in charge of potentially hundreds of lives? And yes, one little mistake could kill dozens or hundreds of people. What good would it do to constantly remind him that nobody's perfect? No, that's why he gets paid the big bucks. Do you understand? That's why, because he has to get good sleep. He has to make sure he's not drinking on the job. He has to make sure that his mind's there. His mind's not somewhere else. He has to walk, guess what? Soberly. That's what we're called to do. Walk soberly and righteous in this present age, guys. Do you understand? There's real stakes. There's a real battle going on. And there's the real potential for lives to be lost, for souls to be lost. Do you understand that? So that's why we need to be sober and vigilant and be paying attention, not let our guard down. I mean, the Bible talks about this time and time again. So again, what sense does it make to preach to people they're not going to be perfect in this life? All that's doing is just breeding excuses and sin. And guess what? If you keep telling people they're going to make mistakes, what are they likely going to do? If you kept telling a pilot over and over again, hey, don't worry, man, you're going to make mistakes, what is he likely going to do? Now, let me give you two different scenarios. You have one group of pilots who you constantly tell them, listen, you guys need to get good sleep. You guys need to do everything right. You need to make sure that you have, all your I's dotted and your T's crossed and all the buttons selected just right. Okay. Because why? Because there's lives on the line and you need to be sober and vigilant so that people don't die. Or if you had another group where you constantly told them, hey, don't worry, we're not perfect, we're going to make mistakes, which group of pilots would you trust? Let me just ask you that. Which group of pilots would you want flying? Well, I don't see it conceivable. Anybody else would pick anything else but the first group. The ones that are told to be vigilant, to be on guard, and to not make mistakes. Because there's no room for mistakes, guys. So just think on these things. Paul talks about how he likens us to soldiers, and he tells, I believe it's in Timothy, for them to think on these things. Guys, think on these things. Just think on it. And why are you listening to these people who constantly say this? And why are you believing the lies? It doesn't make any sense. Listen, I don't see the Bible ever giving excuses for sin, ever condoning it. I don't ever see Jesus and the apostles ever saying once, oh, guys, hey, try not to sin, but, it's okay if you do. Or, hey, we're not all perfect. We're human. Mistakes are going to happen. Things are going to happen. Yes, we grow in knowledge. As we grow in knowledge, we're gonna grow in holiness and this sort of thing. But to knowingly do something, to sin, guys, that's ridiculous to be preaching this nonsense. You don't ever see Jesus and the apostles ever once going around telling people that, we're not going to be perfect. So why do these teachers constantly feel the need to tell people this? See, it's deception, it's trickery. Guys, we need to be sober and vigilant and be on guard against doctrines of demons. That's all I got. God bless.